He got hit with a couple shots. I'm like, okay, don't take another one of those. But I never saw him buckle like we saw Tank buckle.
After his recent fight with Lamont Roach, questions have arisen regarding Gervonta Davis's fighting style, with many criticizing him for his seemingly troubled attitude. Meanwhile, along with this aggravating demeanor, Davis's performance has also faced criticism as he failed to meet the high expectations that surrounded the fight. Showbiz the Adult watched the fight and shared his reaction, stating that he felt Tank was trying to avoid the confrontation. He expressed his frustration over the 9th round, criticizing Tank for taking a break for no reason.
That's a knockdown. Tank is trying to bail himself out. That's a knockdown. That's a knockdown! How you going to do that and run and get a towel? Who gave Davis that right?
Brian Custer was also taken aback by the disappointment displayed by Davis in this match. He pointed out that Tank seemed overly reliant on his ability to knock out his opponent with a single punch, a mindset he believed was flawed. Custer went on to criticize Davis for underestimating Lamont Roach, suggesting that this was not the mentality he should have brought into the fight.
Really well. I think, sometimes when you get at that level, you fall in love with your own power, I think. And I think this was one of those fights where Tank thought, okay, I'm going to get him with that one-punch knockout power. And then when he found out, man, this guy is in front of me, he's taking it. I think it was too late. I thought it was disappointing that it didn't draw.
In a shocking turn of events, Gervonta Davis failed to deliver on what was considered the most highly anticipated fight of his career, leaving fans and critics alike in disbelief. This was his ultimate opportunity to reaffirm his dominance, yet he fell short, disappointing his supporters. In a post-fight interview, Davis acknowledged his shortcomings, admitting that he was unable to secure a stoppage against Lamont Roach. He vowed to hit the gym and put in even more effort in preparation for his next fight.
I could have stopped him. It's me. Definitely my fault. It's all right. You know what I mean? You live and you learn. I definitely could have. That was on me too. That was on me for sure. Cause I ain't pick it up when I supposed to pick it up. And I could have definitely did more. Just a lot going on. But again, it was myself, But you gotta go to the gym and, get back to the drawing board and, train a little harder.
From the very beginning, this fight generated massive hype, especially with Gervonta Davis creating a stir at every press conference. His fans were confident that their boxing hero would easily knock out Lamont Roach, expecting it to be a walk in the park. However, Roach turned out to be a formidable force, giving Tank Davis a much tougher challenge than anyone had anticipated. This unexpected turn of events left many stunned, including Jim Lampley, who shared his thoughts on the fight. Lampley pointed out how Davis failed to live up to the expectations of knocking out Roach, emphasizing that despite his efforts to hurt Roach, Tank simply couldn't land a decisive blow, something that left him truly surprised.
An upset draw is always a mixed bag for fans, for people in the sport, etc., etc. I thought it was, in essence, the right decision. The only question about whether the upset draw is justified is whether Steve Willis erred in not deducting a point in a late round when Tank Davis appeared to touch the canvas with his hand. And that is going to stay in the woodwork and haunt the fight in the breach a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's a setback in Tank's career and for his reputation. I think most observers expected him to knock Roach out, particularly because Roach was moving up from 130 to 135. Sometimes when a fighter moves up in weight, he gets stronger, and it looked as though maybe Roach did get stronger and had a greater ability to resist Tank's power than other opponents have had, because Tank did tag him with a lot of clean shots, and he wound up throwing more punches than he likes to throw to get that done. He tagged him both on the chin and to the belly, etc., and couldn't seem to hurt Roach. And that was another surprise in the overall picture of the fight.
As the boxing world was shocked to see such a bad performance by Tank Davis, Jake Paul also offered his immediate reaction to the fight, sharing a similar perspective. He remarked that he didn't see the usual Gervonta Davis in the ring, stressing that a far stronger performance was expected from him. Paul even went as far as to call the fight more of a sparring session than a competitive bout.
Man, he got lucky as a draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, you gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. But god damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Johnny Ortiz also weighed in on Tank Davis's performance, which has left many disappointed. He noted that Tank seemed to underestimate Lamont Roach, viewing him as a fighter with a limited resume and no big names on his record. However, Roach proved him wrong, challenging Tank's mindset and disrupting his approach to the fight. Ortiz emphasized that Roach is technically more skilled than fighters like Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson, something Tank overlooked, which ultimately contributed to his struggle in the ring. While some had considered Lamont Roach an easy opponent, the fight made it clear that Tank's underestimation of him backfired, showing a lack of preparation and insight.
Just because the fighter is lesser known than this other guy, then he's a bum, he's a cherry pick. But now that he gave Tank a great fight, now Tank's a bum. Tank's a hype job.
It's like I said, you gotta remember why you be in a boxing. A lot of these motherfuckers don't. Like, they just look at brand. They ain't looking at the technical aspects and of the fighter. That's why I be telling people it's mainly about the brain. So Tank versus, let's say like a Ryan Garcia, Lamont Roach is more technically skilled than Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Us being in boxing and being around it, even training, so stuff like that, would know that. Not the outside massive who's buying a pay-per-view who's just looking at the bigger name. So that's when Lamont Roach comes up. It's like, damn, it ain't a big name. So Tank, it was kind of like a bad situation for Tank, where it's like, all right, this is a technical fighter, this and that, but he don't got a big name, not even as big as like a Shakur or Keyshawn at the time or something like that at the time. So on the outside looking in, people like, who the hell is Lamont Roach? And then they go back, they look at BoxRec, they probably see an old fight with Jamel Herring.
It's all lost with Jamel Herring, and
then they go see
just diminished them after that.
Yeah, so it's so a brand thing. It's a tough fight, but everybody knows, everybody in the boxing circle, everybody been around knows that LeBron is really a technical fighter, and he's frustrating for everybody.
Moving on, another topic that sparked considerable discussion was the weight discrepancy. Lamont Roach moving up to 135 pounds was seen as a potential obstacle in his pursuit to defeat Tank Davis, but the outcome proved those expectations wrong. Roach not only delivered a punishing performance against Davis, but he also showcased his best fighting attributes throughout the entire fight. His manager, Robert Diaz, expressed his satisfaction with Roach's performance, acknowledging him as a real threat to Tank. Diaz weighed in on the weight difference, noting that despite the challenge, Roach's performance was exceptional, showing no mercy toward Davis. He pointed out that Roach appeared unhurt throughout the fight, while Tank, on the other hand, struggled and seemed to buckle under pressure.
Fighting at 135 again in a eliminator or something. I mean, there's options. I like what I saw today at 135. I knew he wasn't going to be the little guy. I knew he was possibly going to be the bigger guy. And I think we saw it at the weigh-in. And I never saw him hurt. He got hit with a couple shots. I'm like, okay, don't take another one of those. But I never saw him buckled like we saw Tank buckle.
As experts buzzed with reactions, offering little praise for Gervonta Davis's performance or the outcome of the fight, Keyshawn Davis also shared his immediate thoughts. He couldn't hide his surprise when he found out the fight ended in a draw. Along with expressing his shock, he acknowledged the event's impressive turnout, recognizing the massive crowd and the global attention the highly anticipated showdown attracted. Davis also pointed out the weight difference between Roach and Tank, emphasizing that despite this, Roach put on an outstanding performance. He reminded everyone that he had always seen Lamont Roach as a serious threat, contrary to the criticism he faced leading up to the fight.
A draw? Okay then, we got a draw. It was a draw.
Hasim Rahman couldn't hide his disappointment with Tank Davis's performance. He pointed out that he didn't see the best version of Tank in the ring, suggesting that there was an internal disconnect that prevented him from performing at his peak. Rahman went on to criticize both Tank and his head trainer Calvin Ford for failing to deliver a strong performance. While Tank may have boasted about his preparation, Hasim felt they hadn't adequately prepared for this fight, expressing frustration with Tank's actions in the ring, which in his opinion were far from satisfying.
That's what I think. I think we didn't get 100% Tank. That's what I mean. I done seen Tank and Calvin go at it from when he was kids, from he was a child, and I just didn't see that Tank last night. You know, and Calvin wasn't able to push the buttons. You know, it wasn't Calvin. So I just feel like the preparation, it's clear that it wasn't the same. You know, now the results, you know, there's been a lot of, you know, rumors, and the rumor mill been just rampant with Calvin and Tank wasn't this, that, and other. But now you really, you know, actions speak louder than words. So the actions that I saw last night from Tank and from GTD as a whole, it wasn't the same. It just wasn't the same.
On the other hand, Richardson Hitchens trainer Lenny Wilson believes Tank Davis made the fight more competitive than it needed to be. Sharing his thoughts, he noted the back and forth action between Tank and Roach, pointing out that when the fight became so close and personal, Tank should have conserved his energy and performed more impressively. Wilson went on to offer advice to Tank, suggesting that he lacked a clear game plan and should have approached the fight with a more strategic mindset.
I think that Tank just fought, to me, I think Tank fought the wrong fight. I think he made it more competitive. I don't think he should have made it competitive, because it was a back and forth with them, and it was up close and personal. I think he has more athleticism, you know, good footwork, good head movement, good speed, you know, and he shouldn't have got caught up in the knockout, so to speak, trying to put him out. You got to be smart in boxing, you know, and so I think that he should have been a little bit more. I think he should have boxed more. Used the speed. If the knockout came, it just would have came. You dig what I'm saying? And I think that they should have been telling him whether or not he was down at certain rounds or at certain points to help keep him focused. That's just my take on it.
Brian Norman Sr. also criticized the fight, admitting that he wasn't familiar with Lamont Roach before this match. However, he praised Roach for identifying Tank Davis's signature shots and putting on a strong performance. Norman emphasized that Tank Davis failed to land his trademark counter shot, which typically knocks out his opponents. He noted that Davis didn't focus on boxing strategically throughout the fight, instead allowing Roach to throw combinations and giving him opportunities to set up counters. Norman condemned Tank for not displaying the extraordinary power he's known for, ultimately treating Roach like any other opponent rather than stepping up to the challenge.
No boxing very well. I had never heard of Lamont Roach at all before they announced this fight last year. I had never heard of him. He's a world champion. I had never seen him. Maybe I seen him and didn't know. Maybe his name didn't stick out, but I didn't know who the Lamont Roach is. But like they've been saying today, I damn sure know him now. And he did an amazing job, man. He did an amazing job, tremendous job. For me, he did. He cracked the code with the Tank. What I noticed, the way he was able to stand in the pocket, and I didn't know that somebody was telling me today that he said some of his keys to victory, I see this, was to stay inside. He didn't think Tank could do very well inside. And when I seen him doing it, I noticed it and started replaying in my head the way Tank knock out everybody else. It's usually counter shots, and of course, you know, I've seen the spar in real life. It's usually counter shots, and it's usually like thrust lunging, you know, take you up out of there. But when you close to him, I don't think he could generate that same type of power that he was generating, which is like in round 12, he started to get back to that and get Lamont to throw something where he could counter and, you know, do what he do. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, bro, that's crazy. Like, he figured it out. Lamont Roach figured that out. He got right there with it when he fought him toe to toe. Shit, Tank was just a regular man. He wouldn't have, you know, That's why he was saying his power was decent. He wasn't extraordinary when it was toe-to-toe. You know what I mean? But like I said, I think Tank was trying to get that separation at the very end of the 12th round to throw that kind of shit, man. It was masterful, man. It was masterful. I really enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed watching Lamont Roach do what he do. That shit. If you're a boxing fan, that's good to watch.
Brian Norman also shared his thoughts on the controversial result, stating that Roach was robbed. He expressed his frustration with the decision, but acknowledged that in the end, it worked out as a significant financial opportunity for Roach. Norman didn't hold back in criticizing Tank Davis for the knee drama in the 9th round, calling it a foolish move on his part. He made it clear that Tank's actions were unnecessary and only added to the controversy surrounding the fight.
You know, no matter what, you saw the performance, you saw what happened, you saw the end result of it, and yeah, he definitely got robbed. I hated for him getting robbed. I'm glad he made the money. I think he deserved the money. I think he deserved the opportunity. The world saw him. Nobody's saying. I seen like 2 people saying Tank won. I ain't seen nobody saying he won. You got the people who don't know shit about boxing. You know, when Tank leaned on his back and he took that knee to get Tank off his back, you got some idiot saying he took a knee too. I'm like, bro, what? Like, you can't make this shit, man.
Ade Oladipo also weighed in on the outcome of the fight between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, finding it shocking to see Tank take a knee in the 9th round. He criticized Tank for such strange behavior, calling it puzzling. Oladipo pointed out that it was clearly a knockdown by Lamont Roach that was unjustly overlooked, further speculating that Roach was the real winner of the fight. He also took aim at the referee, Steve Willis, slamming him for not continuing the count and failing to call the knockdown against Davis.
Some sort of, I don't know, something's got in his eye. You can't do that. I'm sorry, that's a knockdown. That is a knockdown. And I've seen and read a number of responses on Twitter, and for once, I think the boxing world's thinking exactly the same thing. We're in unison. It's a knockdown. There is no question about it. And again, I don't like to dig out Steve because I do think he's one of the best referees in the game, but he's just choked. He's choked. And I don't know if there's that sort of instant replay thing there where you can retroactively score rounds, but there should have been, because that's a 10-8 round. And again, if it's a 10-8 round, and look, there are so many different variables, right? Because if he did score that a legit knockdown, who knows, right? Gervonta Davis might have tried to go up a level, and you don't know if he's going to get a stoppage. But one thing we do know, the scorecards were in, and if that was a 10-8 round, Lamont Roach wins. I've seen a lot of shit in boxing. As a fan, as someone that's now ringside covering events, that might be one of the worst things I've seen in recent years. Honestly, that's awful. That's awful. And it reflects even more bad now on Steve Willis because, again, if that's a 10-8 round, I'm repeating myself, guys, I do apologize, but if that's a 10-8 round, Lamont Roach wins. Lamont Roach wins. Do you know how crazy that is? Do you know how crazy that is? That would have been one of the biggest wins in the last decade. That's how big a win that is.
Ade Oladipo reflected on how Tank Davis's overconfidence was exposed in this fight. He noted that Davis is usually loud and boastful about himself, but this time, his arrogance was met with harsh reality. Roach dominated him throughout the fight, standing strong and landing successful combinations. Oladipo also revealed that at the end of the fight, Tank told Roach, "You're not going to get the decision victory," something Ade found utterly distasteful. He slammed Davis for this comment, calling his attitude hilarious and highlighting how out of touch it seemed, given the outcome of the fight.
Sometimes you need to scream and shout for yourself. Sometimes you can't expect people to do it, and I'm surprised that Lamont Roach didn't fucking kick up a storm. And even with Gervonta at the end, I think it's been confirmed that Gervonta said to him, "You're not going to get the decision." I mean, what the fuck? Does he run boxing? Like, what is this? Crazy.
Ade Oladipo went on to suggest that Tank Davis appeared disinterested from the start of the fight. He also pointed out Davis's recent retirement announcement, speculating that it could have contributed to his lackluster performance. Oladipo further emphasized that there's something wrong with Gervonta Davis, questioning why he has been hailed as a top fighter when his track record doesn't justify the hype. He highlighted how many of Davis's big fights have failed to materialize, which he saw as a significant setback in his career. According to Ade, Davis has has mostly been fighting smaller opponents, and when he finally faced Roach, he was exposed in the worst possible way.
I will say this about Gervonta. Again, I've not watched the fight in full, I've only seen highlights. He does look a bit, and I'm reading his body language even up until the event, post-fight, he does look a bit disinterested. There's been a lot of talk about him wanting to, I don't know, take a pause from the sport. It is weird to not see Leonard Ellerbe around. I almost feel like they gave him a bit of shelter because they took all the heavy loading when it came to dealing with the media, Ellerbe, Floyd Mayweather, etc. But he looks like someone that's just almost had enough. And I mean, these guys have been boxing since, I think Gervonta's been boxing since he was 8 or 9. I can kind of see how it might get a bit like, oh, I'm tired. You know, I've made the money I needed to make. I don't know. There's something not quite right with Gervonta. But in saying that, let's not take away the credit we should be giving Roach. Now, Roach, a good fighter. I think he proved that he's a good fighter. You know, with Gervonta, yeah, Gervonta is an interesting one. Like, I was having this debate with someone this morning. I was having a debate with someone like, how good is Gervonta? Like, I expected Gervonta to run through him because it's Gervonta. But then I look at who he's fought recently. He hasn't fought any of the top dudes. He isn't. He's not fighting the top guys. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't want to be a victim of the moment, but maybe we've put him too high on a pedestal. I don't know. Like, he's not fighting the top guys. When we wanted him to fight Loma, we didn't get the Loma fight. Shakur Stevenson fight we've been begging for years, and he seems to get angry with anyone in the media who says he should fight Shakur Stevenson. We know he's not going to fight Keyshawn Davis. You know what I mean? He's never fighting. When Devin was at 135, we didn't get that fight. 135 against Ryan. Ryan had this rehydration cap, and we didn't really get the proper Ryan. I don't know, man. I don't know. But look, let's give a lot of credit to Lamont Roach. I mean, again, he came in as a big underdog. He promised all week that he was going to deliver, and he delivered.
Meanwhile, Lamont Roach, initially seen as a smaller opponent for Davis, entered the ring as a formidable fighter and proved why he was the real underdog. He showcased his skills over 12 rounds, not only making the fight incredibly competitive, but also clearly demonstrating why he deserved the victory. Michael Fox, a known sparring partner of both Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, shared his thoughts on Roach's spectacular performance. He noted that while Roach may not have the same level of popularity as Tank, he certainly displayed his dominance throughout the entire fight. Fox credited Roach's unwavering commitment to training as the key factor behind his impressive showing.
You know, I always knew Lamont wasn't as popular as Tank. Who can be? It's only a few people that can be right as of right now. But you know, the skill set is tremendous. You know, the counter punching, like I know he knows how to do that. But I mean, Lamont was on a different level last night as far as the stuff he knows how to execute. You know what I mean? And I think you know, that's credit to the training camp he had, the guys he was sparring, things like that. They helped a lot. They should all take pride in what Lamont, you know, was able to do personally.
One moment in the fight that has sparked significant controversy and fueled debates was the 9th round, when Tank Davis took a knee and referee Willis stopped the count, ultimately failing to declare a knockdown. This decision has been widely criticized, and Michael Fox also weighed in on the situation. He pointed out that even Tank should have known that taking a knee in the middle of a fight typically results in a clear knockdown, but he questioned why the referee didn't make that call. While some may argue about whether Roach was robbed in this fight, Fox didn't hold back, strongly voicing his belief that Roach was unfairly denied in this bout.
I think Lamont pulled it off, especially if he'd have got the knockdown. That should have been counted. I don't, you know, hair gel or not, you know, like Tank knows better than to take a knee in the middle of a fight during an exchange. He's been fighting entirely too long not to know that. And I mean, you know, Steve Willis was supposed to count. You know, I don't like speaking ill of people I fuck with, but he knows better. He knows better than to do that. He wasn't supposed to do that. And I think, you know, Lamont seized the moment last night, and I mean, he leaving with a draw, but at least they didn't totally rob him as as bad as egregiously as we've seen before.
Prior to the fight, many believed Lamont Roach would struggle to make it past the early rounds, with most expecting him to be knocked out by Gervonta Davis within the first 5. However, the fight completely turned expectations on their head, as Roach dominated the action all the way through the 12th round. Despite the decision going against him, Roach's manager, Robert Diaz, spoke out, expressing immense pride in his fighter's performance. He pointed out that Roach's exceptional display was evident to everyone, proving that he is not just a talented boxer, but also a powerful force in the ring. In light of the controversy surrounding the fight, Robert urged for the same level of scrutiny and accountability in judging, questioning how the outcome would have been determined had the roles been reversed.
Absolutely. First of all, let's go back a week or two, or when the fight was announced. Lamont wasn't supposed to pass the 5th round. He was going to get knocked out in 5 or 6 rounds. He goes to the 12th. Okay, but he's not going to get a decision. He gets the decision. He drops Tank. Now I'll ask, if Lamont does exactly what Tank did, he gets DQ'd, he gets stopped, he gets the knockdown counted. I mean, you know what? It's okay. The fans saw it. I'm proud of Lamont. He did amazing, but he did what we knew as a team he would do.
Among those praising the fight as a remarkable display of Roach's resilience was Jaleon Love. While acknowledging his good relationship with Tank Davis, he couldn't help but commend Roach for his outstanding performance. Even though the victory didn't go in Roach's favor, Jaleon emphasized that the night truly belonged to Roach. As a seasoned boxer, he congratulated the fans for witnessing an exciting, hard-fought battle and lauded Roach's impressive showing. Love also weighed in on the controversial moment when Tank took a knee, noting that such actions are typically penalized and should result in a knockout point for the opponent. In his eyes, this moment signified that Roach had, in effect, already won the fight.
Nah, man, I ain't gonna lie. I love Gervonta. Obviously, we come from a lot of the same shit. But I love boxing, and I seen Lamont Roach outclass Gervonta Davis tonight.
Yeah.
And I ain't against your Tank. I'm just a boxer. If you ask me, I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
I thought Lamont did enough to receive the victory.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't go his way. It was a good fight. The boxing fans won. And shit.
About the knockdown,
I think if anytime you take a knee or touch the canvas, and it's through to a blunt punch, or even if you hurt and you go down, that's a knockdown. That's what I know from the rules of boxing since it started. You touch the canvas, it was not counted. He put a halt to the fight to go get his face wiped. These are all penalties, points, all different shit. So, you know, from the game that I know if I was in that bitch, that would have been a knockdown.
Angel Garcia also shared his thoughts on the fight, criticizing Tank for underestimating Roach. He emphasized that Roach genuinely proved himself as the underdog and took issue with Tank's tendency to retreat, pointing out that a true fighter doesn't run away.
It was a good fight. I mean, you gotta understand, can't underestimate the underdog, bro. He's hungry, you know what I mean? They wasn't giving him no credit. They were making us here was a slouch, you could run over. You can't do that in boxing. Anything can happen. You can have a great night, believe that. You gotta believe in your soul, and I think the kid was in there with his soul tonight. It was a good fight, don't get me wrong.
As the boxing world continues to weigh in on the fight, one thing is clear. Gervonta Tank Davis has faced heavy criticism for not delivering the performance many expected. Fans and analysts alike are pointing out his lack of aggression and passivity throughout the bout. Meanwhile, Lamont Roach emerged as the real star of the night, proving himself to be the true underdog and showcasing the skills of a future champion. The boxing community is buzzing with praise for Roach, and it's evident that he may have just cemented himself as one of the sport's brightest rising stars. As discussions swirl around the fight, one thing's for sure, a rematch would certainly offer even more fireworks, and Lamont Roach's rise as a force in boxing seems all but guaranteed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click on the bell icon so you never miss any updates.